Have you ever poured your heart and soul into a relationship, only to realize you're playing a minor role in someone else's narrative? It's a bitter pill to swallow, yet one many of us have had to endure. Too often, we shrug it off with the excuse, "That's just how relationships are." But here's the hard truth. It doesn't have to be this way. You're not a placeholder, a stepping stone, or a band-aid for someone else's temporary needs. You deserve better, and recognizing that is the first step toward reclaiming your worth. Today, we're uncovering the subtle but unmistakable signs that you're being used in a relationship. These aren't always the dramatic betrayals. They're the quiet patterns, the seemingly insignificant moments that erode your self-worth over time. By the end of this exploration, you'll not only spot these warning signs, but also gain the tools to rebuild your self-respect and transform your relationships into ones rooted in balance, authenticity, and mutual care. Let's begin with the first red flag: one-sided effort. How often have you found yourself carrying the entire weight of the relationship, making plans, initiating conversations, shouldering the emotional load, while the other person sits back and lets you do all the heavy lifting? Picture it. You're rowing a boat alone, sweat pouring down your face, while they sit comfortably at the helm, enjoying the ride without lifting a finger. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." In one-sided relationships, fear of rocking the boat keeps us trapped, convincing ourselves that speaking up might make things worse. But as Marcus Aurelius wisely reminded us, never trade your character for the approval of others. When you find yourself bending your values to keep a relationship afloat, it's time to pause and ask, is this truly serving me? In these imbalanced dynamics, you're the one always reaching out, making excuses for their indifference, and bearing the emotional toll. Over time, this lopsided exchange breeds resentment, loneliness, and exhaustion. Healthy relationships thrive on reciprocity, a shared effort where both parties contribute equally. Without it, what you have isn't a partnership. It's a drain on your energy and spirit. Next, let's talk about selective availability. Have you noticed certain people in your life only show up when it suits them? When they need support or attention, they're there, but when you need the same, they vanish, claiming to be busy or unavailable. This isn't just about physical presence. It's about emotional availability too. A relationship built on selective availability reveals a glaring imbalance. One person gives endlessly, while the other takes freely, showing up only when it benefits them. As Marcus Aurelius put it, it's not what happens to you, but how you respond that defines your character. Instead of reacting with bitterness, use this as an opportunity to reflect on your worth and set firm boundaries. Relationships rooted in selective availability aren't partnerships. They're one-way streets leading straight to frustration and loneliness. Epictetus famously said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." In balanced relationships, this principle applies equally to both parties. But in relationships marked by selective availability, you may find yourself doing all the listening with little to no reciprocity. If this dynamic leaves you feeling undervalued or dismissed, it's time to take stock. Ask yourself, does this relationship nurture my well-being, or does it leave me depleted? If the answer is the latter, it's time to enforce boundaries, communicate your needs clearly, or, if necessary, walk away. Finally, consider the third telltale sign: absence of genuine interest. At its core, a meaningful relationship is built on mutual care, respect, and curiosity about each other's lives. But what happens when one person shows little to no interest in your thoughts, feelings, or dreams? It feels as though you're merely an accessory to their story, rather than an equal participant. Genuine interest is the bedrock of connection, and when it's missing, it signals a profound emotional disconnect. As you navigate such relationships, ask yourself, am I investing in someone who truly values me? If the answer is no, it's time to step back and reevaluate. True relationships are anchored in mutual respect. Without it, you're likely being used, even if unintentionally. Ultimately, Remember this. You deserve relationships where your worth is seen, celebrated, and cherished. Life is too short to settle for anything less. Recognize the signs, honor your boundaries, and boldly demand the respect and reciprocity you deserve. After all, a fulfilling relationship isn't just about giving. It's about growing together. You are never meant to be someone's emotional prop, their silent listener, or their backup option. You deserve relationships rooted in reciprocity and respect, where both parties invest equally in each other's growth and happiness. By identifying the warning signs, unequal effort, sporadic availability, and a lack of sincere interest, you can reclaim your power. Establish boundaries. Voice your needs clearly, and, if necessary, step away from connections that drain rather than uplift you. Your worth is immeasurable, and it's time to insist that your relationships reflect the depth of care and respect you extend to others. A truly meaningful relationship flourishes through shared investment, where both individuals genuinely care about each other's joys, struggles, and aspirations. This profound bond stands in sharp contrast to one-sided dynamics where empathy is absent. Aristotle would see such imbalance as a failure to achieve what he called the friendship of the good, a relationship grounded in mutual virtue and respect. When empathy is lacking, relationships often become transactional, prioritizing personal gain over authentic connection. This not only stifles growth, but also leaves one feeling unseen and undervalued, a sentiment echoed by Carl Jung, who believed that meaningful human connections are essential for self-realization and inner fulfillment. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, reminds us that relationships should be built on mutual benefit and respect, not exploitation. Entering into bonds solely for selfish purposes undermines their potential for enrichment. When someone disregards your well-being, dreams, or challenges, it signals a deficit of empathy, a fracture in the foundation of any worthwhile relationship. Such neglect breeds isolation and erodes self-worth, making it imperative to seek out partnerships that honor and nurture your humanity. Epictetus, another Stoic thinker, teaches us to focus on what we can control. If someone shows no genuine interest in your life, you cannot compel them to care. Instead, direct your energy toward cultivating relationships that align with your values, ones that uplift, inspire, and sustain you. Socrates might urge us to engage in continual self-reflection. Are our relationships based on mutual admiration and respect, or do they tilt toward imbalance? This introspection helps guide us toward healthier, more harmonious connections. When emotional manipulation enters the equation, vigilance becomes paramount. Manipulation exploits vulnerabilities using guilt, pressure, or subtle coercion to sway behavior. Seneca would warn against allowing such tactics to disrupt our peace of mind. Emotional manipulation corrodes trust and threatens our inner tranquility. Marcus Aurelius, too, would counsel us to remain steadfast in our principles, refusing to let external forces disturb our equilibrium. Plato, ever the advocate of truth and justice, would likely condemn emotional manipulation as an affront to both, corrupting the soul and distorting reality. Another red flag arises when personal boundaries are disrespected. Whether it's constant changes in plans, unreasonable expectations of availability, or disregard for your needs and preferences, such behavior reveals a fundamental lack of consideration. Stoicism, particularly the teachings of Marcus Aurelius, emphasizes the importance of respecting others' dignity while safeguarding your own. Allowing someone to repeatedly trample your boundaries invites imbalance and harm. Seneca underscores the necessity of balancing self-preservation with obligations to others. Tipping too far in either direction weakens the relationship. Epictetus reinforces this idea by reminding us that while we cannot dictate others' actions, we retain control over how we respond. Asserting and protecting your boundaries is a form of self-respect, vital for maintaining healthy relationships. Jung's concept of individuation, the process of integrating all facets of oneself, highlights the role of boundary setting in personal development. Respecting individuality and honoring limits are foundational to fostering deep, lasting connections. Philosophy and psychology converge on a central truth. Relationships must be anchored in mutual respect, understanding, and emotional integrity. When these pillars crumble, it's crucial to recognize the imbalance and take decisive action. Protect your emotional well-being, demand reciprocity, and nurture connections that celebrate and support both individuals. After all, you deserve nothing less than a relationship that mirrors the depth of your own compassion and commitment. When boundaries are consistently ignored, they can severely hinder personal growth, leaving behind a trail of frustration and eroded identity. Aristotle's timeless wisdom about the golden mean, the delicate equilibrium between excess and deficiency, resonates deeply when applied to relationships. Boundaries must strike a balance. Too rigid, and connection suffers. Too lenient, and respect is lost. When boundaries are entirely dismissed, it creates an imbalance that breeds toxicity, harming everyone involved. Signal 1. Surface-level connections. One unmistakable sign of a troubled relationship lies in interactions devoid of emotional depth, where conversations remain shallow, merely skimming the surface without ever diving into meaningful waters. Even after spending considerable time together, both individuals remain strangers at their core, unable to forge a bond rooted in authenticity. Such relationships are marked by persistent superficiality, leaving both parties disconnected from each other's true essence. From a Stoic perspective, Epictetus would argue that genuine relationships thrive on truth and sincerity. Authenticity, he believed, is the bedrock of human connection. Superficial ties, therefore, fall woefully short of this ideal. Marcus Aurelius might view these hollow connections as squandered opportunities for deeper bonds that foster mutual understanding and personal evolution. For him, relationships should challenge us, enrich our lives, and serve as catalysts for growth. Seneca, too, would see shallow ties as evidence of a lack of commitment, not just to one another, but to the pursuit of self-improvement and collective betterment. Relationships, according to Seneca, must inspire growth and resilience. Anything less betrays the very purpose of meaningful connection. In Western philosophy, Aristotle's vision of friendship stands in stark contrast to such shallowness. True friendship, he argued, is built on mutual respect and shared virtues, not fleeting pleasure or utility. The highest form of friendship thrives on admiration for character, transcending surface-level exchanges. Plato, with his concept of the world of forms, would regard superficial connections as barriers preventing access to profound understanding and unity. Similarly, Carl Jung's theory of individuation underscores the dangers of shallow relationships, which inhibit the transformative interactions necessary for integrating all aspects of the self. Without depth, relationships become obstacles rather than conduits to self-realization. Signal 2. Absence in times of adversity. A more telling indicator of a flawed relationship is the absence of support during life's inevitable storms. Genuine relationships reveal their true nature not in moments of ease, but in times of hardship. When someone you trust vanishes during your darkest hours, it speaks volumes about the fragility and insincerity of that connection. Epictetus, ever the pragmatist, reminds us that while we cannot control others' actions, we retain power over how we respond. An absent friend or partner offers a clear signal to reassess the relationship and seek solace elsewhere. Marcus Aurelius would decry such absence as a failure in the duty of friendship. To him, any authentic relationship rests on mutual support and understanding, and abandoning someone in their hour of need undermines its foundation. Seneca, too, would see this abandonment as proof of a lack of care and solidarity. Life's trials are unavoidable, but facing them alone, despite seeking companionship, reveals a fundamental flaw in the relationship. Friendships, in his view, exist to lighten burdens, not compound them through withdrawal. Aristotle's notion of virtuous friendship emphasizes mutual goodwill and enduring values. A friend who disappears during adversity fails to meet these criteria, offering instead a fleeting bond based on utility or pleasure. Plato would interpret such absence as evidence that the relationship has fallen far short of its ideal form, a union grounded in deep understanding and unwavering support. True friends, he believed, stand steadfast even amidst life's fiercest challenges. Jung, similarly, would highlight the critical role of emotional support during tough times as essential for navigating struggles and achieving self-actualization. The absence of a friend in moments of hardship robs you of the vital connection needed to grow and evolve. Ultimately, the worth of a relationship isn't measured by convenience or time spent together, but by the presence and support offered during life's most demanding moments. You deserve relationships as rich and genuine as the empathy and commitment you bring to them. Seek out those who align with your values, who stand with you in the trenches, and who elevate your journey toward becoming the best version of yourself. Authentic connections are the ones that uplift you when challenges arise and empower you to unlock your fullest potential. If what you've discovered today struck a chord, don't let this be the end of your exploration. Dive deeper by exploring the playlist on the screen, packed with insights on cultivating and strengthening relationships that truly matter. Commit to fostering bonds that reflect your inherent value, because in the intricate mosaic of life, every strand of sincere connection enriches our days with resilience, comfort, and vibrancy. Stay rooted in who you are and continue striving for relationships that infuse your life with purpose and joy.